Hi Capricorns, and welcome to your July 2022 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the month ahead. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you so much for coming and checking out this video, Capricorns. I will be today doing an intuitive reading for you, as well as a week-to-week tarot forecast and an extended reading below on Patreon. And I'm excited to forecast a little bit of the oncoming time for you, as we have a big milestone coming up here at the end of June and moving into July. This new moon in Cancer that we had on the 29th of June should likely have you entering into a new life chapter. So polarity was the main thing that I got for you, Capricorn, when I was meditating on your energy. And I actually want to say for you that polarity is a good sign for you right now. Never is polarity very fun to go through. Never do we really enjoy having these like identity crises or these sort of questions deeper about, like these deeper questions about internal philosophy, about religion in some cases, or about industries. It feels that you're kind of coming at things from two major polarized ends. Pluto is retrograde in your sign. So anybody with strong Capricorn emphasis in their chart has some type of greater karmic story relating to polarity, okay? So, for instance, living the life of like a pagan person, yet wanting to move into a major like Abrahamic clergy or something. Like that's kind of like the one of the symbols I've been seeing lately is kind of like people living in perhaps a conflicting or polarized type of life view, or like feeling one way but living a totally different way, like having super Christian values but then like living in a very like life totally dictated or subservient to like the 7 deadly sins, like there are these weird polarities coming out right about now. And I think that Capricorn is a sign that's really starting to see this now that Pluto is so advanced in your sign. And there's a new transformation that you're having in this territory. Okay. So another subsequent message I'm getting is it's like you're kind of like too far into something, or you've gotten so far, or you've advanced so far into something that now this polarity that you might be feeling is kind of like questioning the entirety of the fabric of your experience. So it's like, okay, so if I feel like I want a total 180 different experience, does that mean that I have to close down shop with like all of these other aspects in my life that don't fit into that? The answer is yes. Okay. Closing down is a harsh way to put it. I mean, there are ways that we can meet things in the middle. There are ways that we can redo things. There are ways that we can bring things up to date as well. But to an extent, Capricorn, it's important to know that if you have like this state of being like internally one person, but externally a totally different person, the only way that's ever going to resolve itself is by conforming to one or the other. And it's usually best to conform to the internal feeling, because that's what we really have to live with, right? A little bit more about really discovering like who we really are, because I think that most of this is like the expression of some type of identity crisis. When Pluto goes through any one sign, it does create like chaos or crisis around the archetype of that sign, which in your case is Capricorn, which is themes of Saturn, reputation, what one is known for, what one contributes, like the help or assistance one offers another person as well. All of that is heavily tied up in the Capricorn archetype, as well as Saturn. So with that being the case now, I kind of feel like you have to really understand like why it is that you have this internal state of being that got so pulled across the spectrum from the like external reality. So this can happen because we have a certain family background, or because we have someone that we've really respected who is different than us. And so we start to maybe create a certain association psychologically with their type of background or character being holy. Okay, so we almost want to recreate that, or we want to try to create that within ourselves, that same holiness. And we might think that it is like their background or their certain life choices that have created that, but it's actually their character, or it's actually just who they were. And we don't necessarily need to associate it so firmly with these like identifiers like religion, job, orientation, and things like that. So that seems like a good starting point this month, Capricorns, is like not getting too obsessed with identifiers or not getting too obsessed with the way that things can be spun. Okay. Also, what this is getting at a bigger picture is like, can you also start to see the bigger picture now? Can you start to see like beyond what you wanted to be when you're like 18, and then also how you felt different about that at like 25 or 30? Can you start to see the bigger picture here, or the bigger aspiration, or the bigger momentum? And what is standing in the way of that? And also, why is there a need to sit on the side of the road or on the sideline thinking about all this stuff instead of stepping into who you really are? This isn't for all Capricorns, but I just kind of see this like pause, or this, and it's not, the wrong thing. We all need time to pause. We all need time to be on the sideline. We all need time to regroup and re-understand how we're moving forward. But it does feel like that's getting a little bit stretched out here for many Capricorns. So if you've been on that path for a long time, do reconsider maybe stepping back into a greater narrative now. And also think about like what your current paths or your current commitments do over a very long period of time. It's very vital for us to zoom out and get out of like the short-term myopic focuses. This is one of the biggest things about July. So try to take the 10-year perspective into account and see that, because you're the best sign at doing that, right? About understanding the long term. So really getting in touch with your long term at a new intuitive level is a really wonderful thing for Capricorns in July. Also, before we get into the week to week, one more intuitive message that's coming through really strongly for you is to get a little bit less focused on the monetary aspects of life. You've got the Five of Pentacles coming up, the Devil, the Five of Cups, the Hanged Man. It seems to me that you're hung up on some type of financial consideration, and that might be coloring you in a way, or affecting the entirety of your identity in a way that doesn't show you like really getting back onto the main path, is how I'm understanding it. So again, it's like just the safety of stillness, of being on the sideline, sometimes in a short-term perspective seems more attractive, but in the long term is not like best for us. It's that type of thing. And I think by the time that Pluto goes direct, which I want to say is sometime around this like October, but I'm not exactly positive when that is, but it's later this year in 2022. By the time Pluto goes direct in your sign and eventually moves into the anaretic degree of Capricorn, good Lord help us all, it's really important to know like the why factor, and be understanding that, for the rest of my days, I will like this, or I will feel that this was the right move, or I will feel that this was like who I was, the essence of who I was, or who I am. So I've made quite a few numerous examples of this across my channel for the last year, because I've been really trying to talk about this, because our culture is so filled with myopia or myopic experiences. And I think that it's really hard for a lot of people to zoom out and get the bigger picture. And I think that you, Capricorn, have to almost become, in order to channel this energy well, an expert in the bigger picture, or an expert in understanding the wider macro implications. So you might be called upon by other people to do that. People might be asking you questions. What do you think of the long-term trajectory of this? And you might not have any clue, but for some reason people see you as someone who's tapped into this kind of thing. And I think that you are really tapped in to the long term. But addictions, like the Devil card, dopamine addiction, the neurotransmitter like that has to do with rewards and is very connected to any type of addiction, that can make us really lose track of ourselves and our own greater progress. Okay. So those are really great things to work on healing this month in Cancer season, because Cancer season is an open window for many people into a view of how life could be without some of these implementations, and it's a view into a much simpler way of holding everything up. So let's talk about your week-to-week Capricorns. Week number 1, the Five of Pentacles rooted down by the Devil. Okay, week number 1 in July. money addiction, okay? Also poverty consciousness as an addiction. Not doing stuff the easy way, having to do stuff the hard way, thinking that the hard way is the only way, or thinking that the hard, cold path means that the future reward will be higher. I'm really encouraging everyone to change that mindset this month because it's not true. Okay, the cold path leads to more cold path. The poverty consciousness leads to more poverty consciousness. And it creates a lot of ball and chains. You know, the devil is like the ball and chain, something that you have to lug around, something that's too heavy, unwieldy, and it gives you like a constant kind of like feeling of burnout. These things are being soothed here in the first week of July. And actually, the first 3 weeks of July have soothing opportunities for these problems. So direct answers, okay? It's not even hard to figure this stuff out now. It's not even hard to understand what the next step forward is. It's right here. Okay, week number 2, the 10 of Cups rooted down by the King of Swords. New stipulations in relationships, new family dynamics, new understanding or mindsets about family coming in for you. Also, having to make decisions for the family or having to be the head of household with that combination. So let it be known, Capricorns, that in the second week of July, what you're doing during this time has a greater significance, not just for you, but for your entire family. And it's important to understand how that moves you around and how that moves also the karma for your family. Really watch out for decisions that don't work for them. Okay, so try to have empathy within your collective decision making, as I feel that you are a collective decision maker right now. Week 3, the Empress rooted down by the Queen of Pentacles. Wonderful, wonderful relaxation. It's kind of polarized though. I mean, the first week and the third week are completely opposite ends of the spectrum. I mean, you have like ultimate deprivation and feeling of poverty represented by the archetypes of the first week. And then you have like ultimate prosperity and ultimate abundance for you in the third week. So this is, again, this Pluto return energy, this Pluto and Capricorn energy. And I just have to warn you, Capricorns, that probably like every decision to some degree is going to have this. Like on one hand, I feel that it takes everything from me, but on the other hand, I feel that it gives me everything, you know? On one hand, I really fear this. On the other hand, it is, you know, so giving to me. It's a little bit of a, not just Plutonian, but almost like Hades type of archetype here. And that is also what Capricorn is connected to through the Saturn archetype. I would just recommend like warming this all up with like flowers or trying to kind of like get out of dark mindsets, over-connecting to shadow, over-connecting to polarity, over-connecting to any form of contractual commitment-oriented energy, and try to just be and beam with the prosperity that is here. Also, the diet could need adjustment in the third week for more prosperity, and something needs to be more natural. Something is too forced with the Devil and the Five of Pentacles. It's like by the third week of July, you're like, that's enough of all that forced, unnatural, unwieldy stuff. I'm moving back to my own natural momentum. I'm moving back to my own light and flexible ways of doing stuff, and I'm getting a huge level up there at the same time. So that is also likely. So you could have like a business deal totally fall through in one place, feel like very discouraged about that, feel like it's a huge loss, and then like the day after, you might have like the best business meeting you've ever had and realize that like actually all of your business issues are resolved for the foreseeable future in a very simple way through some type of new technology or through some type of just hands-off way to go about things. So really beware of the, again, the psychological connection between like the harder I work, the more I push something, the more I, you know, roll that boulder up that vertical cliff face, the better I'll do. That's not where prosperity is coming from for you. Prosperity is coming to you, Capricorn, from stuff that people have already made, stuff that's already ready to go, and stuff that they want you to do, okay? So it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel at all here, and I almost think that people are making wheels for you, and you can just kind of be like, here it is, and then that's that, and you like go home, you like pay the tax bill, and like that's that, you move on, you start doing things that are like yours again, okay? This is how I feel the essence of Capricorn to be. Like, get your mind off of these like financial matters as much as you can. Just like, I don't know, write the checks and do the things and balance it all out and do what you know how to do. But try to not lose sleep over that stuff and try to see the bigger picture of what you're pushing, okay? I find that Capricorn can so easily get over enveloped in like, oh my gosh, that bill, or oh my God, that new business relationship, and they can't see like the bigger motion of the entire industry, or they can't see the bigger thing. And this is where you have to see that in order to move forward, and in order to probably understand that this may not matter, some of the things that you're like obsessed about right now. If you're dealing with obsession, obsessed might be a strong word for some, and then, you know, if the Pluto transit's really hitting you, it might be not strong enough a word. But I can tell you for pretty certain, Capricorns, that which you're currently obsessed with or kind of like OCD over, if you feel that at all, I don't think it's the problem at all. I think it's like it's almost like you playing sleight of hand with yourself. Like, oh, look at this, look at what I know, look at what I'm figuring out. And meanwhile, over here, a greater narrative is happening for me that I'm not thinking about because I can't face it. And life just like goes on, but I'm not really looking at life. I'm looking at this, you know, thing that I've already gotten figured out and that already stands and doesn't need to be thought about any further. So at that point in time, Capricorns, it's almost good to like work with a therapist, or it's almost good to work also with an astrologer or some type of greater energetic healing. Or what you can also do, of course, I'm not capable to advise in that way. Certainly check out your own relevant advisors there. But what you can also do is you can just like watch media or watch movies or videos of like, I don't know, heroes or heroines that you identify with, and like see how, you know, within that 2D fictional character, there is exactly this or exactly this kind of like self-storytelling in place that also goes through. So Capricorn often struggles with like a feeling of heroism, or struggles with a feeling of, you know, creating some type of really big story, but they may not realize that they're doing that. And what that causes is like a certain 2D-ness to their own experience. And the thing is that real life is a little bit more layered and complex. But I kind of feel that all of this that you're going through, Capricorn, is like a greater fiction with yourself, or some type of greater narrative crafting, because oftentimes Capricorn needs, you know, like Capricorn needs some type of crux in order to motivate and generate energy. The thing is, I think you've got plenty of that in the past. I think you've arrived now, and this can really be a new beginning for you, starting in the 3rd week of July, regarding moving forward without these types of like heavy ball and chain narrative crafting crux type of problem issues. Week 4, the Hanged Man rooted down by the 5 of Cups. That's actually exactly what I was getting into. I'm not going to speak too much on that because that's what I'm talking about here with that sort of heroism issue and that sort of dynamic that people go into when they're trying to like motivate themselves. It's already done by July of 2022. It was probably already done by like the end of 2020. Like when we got that Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius, I think it was done, Capricorns. I think you did the big thing. I think that you justified your ultimate cause to yourself then, and I don't understand why some of you, that this is not going to resonate for all Capricorns, and if it doesn't, you know, check out your sun, moon, rising sign. But for those of you who it does resonate for, I need to say this because I feel like there's some people who need to hear this and need to understand that this has changed now at this point. I feel like I'm preaching here, but it's an important change point for so many Capricorns. The hard stuff is done, okay? The grinding, 2D, like obsessive push with some type of growth spectrum is done. And it won't work at this point, not in this same way that it used to. Now, this is a much more easy space for you. This is a much more like throne type of thing for you, where you're not the one like riding into battle. You're not the one like, I don't know, walking this cold road, in the snow at nighttime in these like clothes that don't fit you properly. You're not that person anymore. It's very likely that you're in a very nicely situated area with some degree of authority or some degree of help as well from other people. So what you don't need to do is like go out and like push a boulder up a hill. It doesn't make sense. And I'm like shaking you guys. I'm kidding. I'm pleading with you Capricorns. Let yourself have an easier time because you've earned it. You deserve it. And let's talk more about that in your extended reading. I hope you enjoyed this one, Capricorn. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'm going to talk more about how you shift this in the right way and how you kind of come to terms with your own success and your own capability to make things more right for you. Okay, so let's do that in your extended. It'll be linked below and in the center of your screen. Much love, Capricorns. Bye.